Okay, welcome back to Zen Well Therapy. Today we're going to talk about this will be part two of mindfulness. So if you haven't watched the first video about mindfulness, basically part one, some of this may not make sense. So hopefully you watched it. If you did, the hope is this video will continue with that concept to see if it'll help you or anyone who's watching. All right, so um, I'm going to call this freedom versus freedom. Okay, so I'll say it again, freedom versus freedom. So, what does that basically mean? Um, the first type of freedom, uh, I usually do this. I'll ask clients and I'll say, what's your definition of freedom? Right? And a lot of the times the answer kind of looks like this. They'll say, oh, well, I want to be like financially free. I want to be able to travel whenever I want. I want to work my dream job whenever I want. I want to be able to eat whatever I want. I want to be able to go places, experience things whenever I want. If I want to buy something, I want to be able to do it. So basically, they want to not be controlled. They don't want any limitations on their life. They don't want to be feel like they are constrained in what they're able to do. They want to be sovereign. It's like, hey, I don't need rules to be put on me. I want to be able to free to basically live my life the way I want to, as long as I'm not harming anyone or myself, right? Um, and who would disagree with that definition of freedom? Okay, I completely agree. As humans in our society, we want to probably do all of those things, right? Whether it's to be financially free, being out of debt, um, being able to travel whenever you want to, eat whatever you want to, exercise whenever you want to, not being told what to do all the time, right? So, um, I totally get that type of freedom, and we all strive for it in our life because most of us we got to work, we got to provide for our family, etc. Okay, so regarding mindfulness, that is not the type of freedom I am talking about or I focus on. Okay, so what is this other freedom that I'm going to talk about? Um, this is the inner freedom. Okay, this is the internal freedom from all the cars on your mental freeway, right? So, um, if you're having a lot of cars on your mental freeway, all these thoughts, all the worries, all the intense emotions, all the memories, the traumas, and the list goes on, right? Um, if you're free from those, just imagine how free you would feel, right? So, the type of freedom I'm talking about is freedom from this thing right here, okay? Our minds can be a great tool to do amazing things in life, to be creative, to invent things, to use our critical thinking skills to solve a problem, all the above. However, there are two sides of the coin, right, regarding our mind. It also has all of these worries, all of these anxious thoughts, all of these emotions and past traumas that we just like we can't get rid of. They're always there, right? Because again, as a reminder, there will always be cars on your mental freeway. All right. So this is from the lens of mindfulness. Um, so what I try to help clients do is to teach them, if they're willing, okay, how do you train your mind to not bite the bait whenever the cars go by on your mental freeway, right? It could be um, situational. Something happens, and now your mind is reacting to it in a way that is bothersome to you because you bit the bait, right? Um, it could be maybe just years and years of some form of depression or anxiety, and you can't help but to bite the bait on whatever comes up inside, right? So, if you can find ways to learn how to be free from your mind, what it usually involves is the complete opposite of the first definition of freedom, right? Again, this definition of freedom, we want to go out and do something. We want to go somewhere. We want to accomplish a goal. We want to pursue a dream, whatever it is. Okay. So, to do the opposite of that is we actually restrict ourselves. Okay. We practice this concept of discipline, let's say. Okay. We restrict ourselves and we don't bite the bait whenever the cars go by on our mental freeway, right? And over time, if you don't bite the bait and practice this type of discipline, your freeway will get emptier. There'll be less cars on the freeway, right? But there'll always be cars, but there'll be less. And all of the emotions, the memories, the internal dialogue will bother you less because now you don't bite the bait and give away your control. So if you become free from your own mind from this perspective, just imagine um, how different your life would be, right? And when I'm sitting with clients, more often than not, if they're resonating with this type of therapy, okay, I would ask them, well, so which one would you prefer in your life? Would you want the first definition of freedom that you just told me, or this other definition of freedom that I just explained? And maybe because they're in therapy, they'll say, yeah, I want the second one. I'd rather have that. Because some clients are like, I've already had and experienced the first definition of freedom. I do well financially. I have my own business. I get to travel whenever I want. I really get to just buy whatever I want. I'm very privileged and lucky now because I worked very hard over the years. However, this type of freedom, for whatever reason, I can't escape. There's something about the internal system, all the cars on my mental freeway that I cannot break free from. And they're like, so I want this. Please show me or teach me how to get here, right? And so, even for me, as I get older, and not just being a therapist, as a human being that has studied mindfulness, meditation, um, Zen like philosophies, right? Um, I pursue this type of freedom way more than the first one, right? So, because I believe if you're free from your own mind, from your own, um, let's say you want to call them inner demons, right? Um, that's the freedom I want to experience every day, every week, right? The other type of freedom, hey, if I get to go travel once in a while, great. That makes me happy. If I get to eat something that I really enjoy once in a while, great. That's good enough for me. I don't need this type of freedom personally all the time. Finances, of course. Like who doesn't want to be financially free, right? Um, so this is just to summarize the concept of freedom versus freedom. Okay. So when I'm working with clients in therapy, again, if they like this approach, we try different methods, different exercises and tools to help them get here. Does it always work? Of course not. Nothing is 100% guaranteed that it'll work. But a lot of the times, it does help, right? So it could just be like one tool a client can use to help them along their journey of, let's say, mental health. So I hope this is making sense so far, because over the years, um, by studying these type of teachings, um, this is just my version of of this concept and how mindfulness works, right? Because if we are free from whatever is going on inside of us, I think everything improves, right? It's almost like if, like Gandhi's his famous quote, be the change you want to see in the world. So if you change this, whatever's inside of you, okay, and your mind, um, everything around you, believe it or not, starts changing when nothing externally has changed. It's just the way you see things, the way you feel about things, the way you notice things. The more aware that we can become of our own minds and our own hearts, it's very liberating from personal and professional experience. All right. So I hope this information is helpful. Um, so I guess what I do now is there might be a part three to to mindfulness. Who knows? Um, but that's basically it. Um, so yeah, hopefully you enjoyed this video. If it made sense to you, um, what I'll do in the future is probably make some videos where we can practice mindfulness and some type of, let's say, meditation, or just simple exercises that helps people become more aware of all the cars on your mental freeway and how you don't need to bite the bait every time they come by. So maybe I'll do that too, and hopefully it'll help some people that watch these videos. So thanks for your time. Uh, be well, Zen well, and we'll talk soon.